Hey everyone, today I would like to give you the continuation of my training for you. And this was for the training and development programs that are provided for the employees. And the first part of the program was for the creation of the dashboard for the training and development management, monitoring of the metrics and KPI. And the second part was the incorporation of the user form. I have created the user form for you for the training department to be able to um, monitor and update the additional employees that will be provided with the training programs. And this third part would be for the creation of the analytical tools, which is in form of bell curve. So the focus of our analysis would be for the creation of the bell curve and the data that will be included in the bell curve would be for the assessment score of the employees received from the training provider of the training programs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add insert a new tab, worksheet tab for our for the creation of our bill curve. Okay, so right now we are on sheet one. What we need to do here is we're going to transfer the employee scores, assessment scores, which is on column G of training data tab. What I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna include the zero because these programs are still in progress and some of the programs are still not started yet. So what the scores that I'm gonna include is are the scores that have received by the employees or the attendees of the program. So I will copy this and then I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, I'm gonna paste the value of the scores. So I'm gonna put a header for this. The header would be the assessment score. Okay, this is the actual scores received by the employees from the training provider. Okay, there are two columns, two additional columns that I'm gonna create. One is for the because I'm gonna create a bell curve. So I need an x-axis for the bell curve as well as a y-axis for the bell curve. So I need two additional columns, and I would call this score range. This is for the x-axis. Okay. And the third one would be for the normal distribution. Okay. So since we're only having a score here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, the column width. So I'm gonna adjust this one. Okay, I'm gonna adjust this column also, and this one too. Okay, I will just wrap this. Okay, so we get again assessment score. We get score range, the x-axis and the y-axis as well. Okay, so I'm gonna create the x numbers, and the numbers I would like to start from is the number 30, and I'm gonna make uh, 5 steps. Okay, so this one would be 5, 35. Then I'm going to drag this down to copy the last this score of the employee. And then for the normal distribution, what I'm gonna do is use I'm gonna use a formula for this, and the formula would be the normal distribution, which is norm this. So equal sign NORM, and this is the normal this tab. Okay. So I'm gonna get the X numbers for the X axis. So the X numbers, the mean, the average or the mean numbers, uh, and uh, the standard deviation and the cumulative. So let me start by getting this X number, which is number 30. We start with number 30, and then comma, and then the next one would be the average. Okay, average of the mean number, okay, of the entire range of the assessment score. So it should be A, colon A. So that would be the column that we're going to get our data from, the assessment scores. Then we're gonna close this. Then I'm gonna put a comma. I'm gonna put a space here, so we have no problems. So this would be average or the mean number. Then the next one would be the standard deviation. So I'm gonna use the STDEV. This is a standard deviation. I'm gonna use this standard deviation .s. What is the meaning of this? This estimates standard deviation based on a sample or ignores logical values and text in the sample. So as you can read, the explanation of that standard deviation is. So again, I'm gonna get the column A, which is for the assessment scores. Then I'm gonna close this one. Then comma, and then the cumulative. Okay. So what is the cumulative? This is the false probability mass function. So I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna double click the false. All right. Then I'm gonna close it. So we got our normal distribution or norm dist formula, uh, which include the B2, the X number. Okay, next is the average of the mean number of the assessment scores. Then the standard deviation, that is for the again for the assessment score. Then for cumulative is the false. Then enter that one. So I'm gonna copy this down. Just I'm gonna drag this down. Okay, this is for the y-axis or the x-axis, y-axis rather. So the next thing that I'm gonna do, you know, I'm gonna select this for our bell curve. So the bell curve would be the in the tab, insert tab, click, and we're gonna select the chart that I'm gonna be using for the bell curve, which is this scatter XY or bubble chart, okay, XY chart, which is this one, the smooth lines, okay. Click that one. There you have it. We got the normal distribution. So if you look at the normal distribution, the normal distribution bell curve, we'll see a symmetrical, okay, almost symmetrical um, bell curve, okay. So how are we going to analyze the result of the assessment score that the employees receive from the training provider? Let me check it looks like we have an average of 80, okay. More numbers, um, more employees are receiving closer to the average. So let me get the exact average or the mean numbers of the bell curve. It's easy. You just average, okay? Get the average formula. Then again, get this number, the scores from employees, then close it, then enter. So the exact average is 81.3. Okay, score is 81.3. Okay, all right. What about the standard deviation? What's the exact standard deviation? So again, just use the formula STDVA. Okay, S dot S. Then tab. Then get this number again. The assessment scores. All right. Then close it. So we get a 7 standard deviation. Okay. 7.08 something. I'll just remove some of the decimal places. 7.09, that would be our standard deviation. It's not showing here because what we did is we just use the normal distribution formula, getting the X number, which is the score range. That would be the X number, X, the X, X axis. Then the average or the mean numbers of the assessment score. Okay. So that would be our, so what do you see in this? Is this is almost symmetrical. So what does it mean? A symmetrical bell curve in the normal distribution. So what does it mean? Most employees scored around the average with fewer high and low performers. Okay. The training was effective for the majority of the employees. This is what they chose. Okay. So what could we do for this, or what would be our strategy for this? Now, perhaps we're gonna reward top performers with leadership opportunities, okay, or providing advanced learning modules or more advanced, like advanced learning, like leadership, leadership skills, or train the trainer program, or perhaps the supervisory skill or managerial effectiveness program, things like that, so that these employees will improve further. Okay, then you can also offer optional refresher training for those slightly below the average. So those below the average, you can always provide refresher training. And what about the right skewed bell curve if this bell curve is not equal or not symmetrical? Which is, there are two things, right? There are two things: right skewed bell curve and a left skewed bell curve. So most scorers are low with the right skewed bell curve, with a small number of high performers. Okay, the training may have been too difficult, or employees didn't receive enough preparation. So what would be the strategy for this situation? The right skewed bell curve. You can review the content delivery. I think the best manager should be the training manager should be reviewing the content of the delivery. Was it too technical, or perhaps the attendees are not technical, but the training provider is giving it too technical or fast paced. You know, some employees, or some attendees, they don't understand fast paced type of training. So you do a slow pace rather than the fast paced, or provide additional resources such as mentoring or hands-on workshops. Some training programs, when they do classroom training, at the same time they're also including the workshop in the classroom, or group activities in the classroom, things like that. Okay, then you can set incremental learning goals to help raise the average. Then what about the left skewed bell curve, which I mentioned earlier? Most scores are high with a few underperformers. Okay, the training may have been too easy or repetitive. Okay, All right. So, okay. So what is the strategy for this? So the strategy for this are introduce more challenging material or advanced modules. Okay. Create a peer mentoring program where high performers help lower scorers. They're working as a team. You're trying to build a team where the high scorers help the lower scorers. Okay. So perhaps they're gonna find spare time for them to do this in the classroom or outside the classroom. So consider differentiating learning paths to keep top performers engaged, right? And what about a bimodal distribution of the bell curve or the normal distribution curve? There are two groups of this bimodal distribution. One performing well, the other are struggling. Okay, so the training may not be meeting the needs of all learners. For example, different experience levels. So what would be the strategy for this? You could segment the training or offer a basic track for those needing foundational knowledge and advanced track for experienced learners. You can use pre-assessment to place employees in the appropriate group. Just I would like to give you classic example of this. A Microsoft Excel training program. You cannot just right away provide this type of training to all employees. You have to do or you have to carry out a pre-assessment. Why are you doing pre-assessment? You have to understand or determine which among the groups are still beginners, which among the group are already in intermediate, or even some of the groups are already advanced. So there are three types of training that you could give in terms of the Microsoft Excel training. Okay, you don't want to provide advanced training to beginners, to the novice. You don't want to provide novice training to the already in intermediate or advanced. Otherwise, these employees will be bored in the classroom. Okay, so at least you have to use a pre-assessment to place employees in the appropriate group. Okay, so another one of the bell curve is a wide bell curve. So what about a wide bell curve? And this is also called high variability. Scores are spread out. Some employees learn a lot, others very little. The training may not be consistent, or employees may have different learning paces. Okay. So what would be the strategy for this? You could do a personalized learning plans based on performance, introduce spaced learning or follow-up session to reinforce knowledge, and use interactive elements. For example, quizzes, group activities, or workshops, right? You can also develop at the same time. You could also develop team building when you're doing group exercises. You know, this is to increase engagement. Okay, these are the meanings of this different group. For example, I'm gonna give you an example. Like for example, I'm gonna give 30. There are there are employees, for example, receiving more 30. See, look at the curve. The curve is not symmetrical already. But it's not balanced. So you have problems with this, right? So that is the let me undo this. So that is the problem when you're having a not a symmetrical type of normal distribution and curve or normal distribution curve. Okay, so I hope you understand. If you have question, you can give your comments down below in the comment section. Then you ask question and then I'll get back to you. So this is it for today for this third part of our training on training and development programs. I hope you like it, and thank you for watching.